What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be doing Army versus Prison.
Oh boy.
It makes sense in my head. I don't know if it makes sense to everyone.
It makes sense because it makes sense.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I guess if you have one person out there that has either been in prison or the military, and now we describe the similarities, they're going to know. They're going to know. They're going to know what we're talking about. Yeah.
So for everyone that does not know, Reese is a combat veteran. So tell them your MOS.
I think they've changed some of the numerals around and stuff, but I was an 11 Bravo 1 Papa Victor.
So you were in the
Army Infantry Airborne Ranger is what they have that. So that's what it's called. So but it's all with numbers and numerical values.
So you were in the Army.
Sure. All right.
And you were the 300.
I did this. This was my specialty. I did this a lot. And some of that other stuff.
You jumped out of planes?
Yes, yeah.
Yep, and you were the 390th person to touch down in Iraq.
No, we're like 353.
350.
Our numbers jumped around. We need to keep that handy somewhere.
We have the
medallion, yeah.
We do, yeah. So he was the 350-ish person to touch down in Iraq. So he is a war veteran. Yep.
Thanks for all the support.
He's a war hero. There we go.
Yeah,
I
like that hero.
He has medals and stuff. He's important. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
And I've been in prison.
Woo!
So I look like a big old turd next to Reese.
Here's
this great guy that looks
Plot
like
twist.
A cop that was in. He's a war hero. And here's Jessica, been to prison. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first similarity in us talking, especially when we first got together, because we were talking a lot about our lives and our experience.
We didn't get to this video like today. We've talked about this
a lot.
Several times, yeah.
A lot throughout the years.
Yep. I think every time it kept getting brought up, we realized how much more similarities there were than we realized.
It's crazy. So I think the first serious one that I just want to throw in here, and we'll do entire videos on this, is that people that have been to prison and people that have been in the military are equally likely to get PTSD. So we both have that, and we can do an entire video on that, but PTSD used to be more thought of as shell shock for people that are in the military. Yeah. Now with more scientific research on it, we know that any traumatic event can cause PTSD. So yeah, you are just as likely to get PTSD if you go into the military versus prison. And I think that's so interesting, and I think a lot of people don't know that.
It's true. Yeah.
So let's go to the more fun stuff.
The fun stuff. Did we make notes?
We did. We took notes.
Okay, we took some notes.
I thought you remember everything.
Oh, I remember some of the stuff. What was the first thing we were going to talk about?
Uniforms.
Uniforms. I mean, you've got that. That was what, what's it called in, what's your dress uniform called in the prison? Or Joe?
Like what you have to wear, like in the day room, like not your casual sleeping stuff. Class A.
Your Class A's. So that's like the dress uniform of the prison world, right?
Yeah, it's like your state issued shirt, your state issued pants with your name on it.
So when you do presentations or real formal ceremonies in the military, you wear your Class A's.
Yeah, and we can have our pressed Class A and our more casual Class A, meaning like if you were doing a ceremony in the military, it would be a pressed and more pretty Class A, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So if you're going to visitation, then you have a pressed Class A uniform that is starch crispy white and that is really nice, and you only wear that on visitation when someone's coming to visit you. So there's special scenarios where you'd wear your Class A.
Okay.
Like your crispy Class A.
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Okay. So when it's time to eat, where do you go in the Army?
You go to the chow hall.
When it's time to eat in prison, you go to the chow hall.
They have chow call too. It's chow.
They yell in the barracks. Chow.
Yeah, it's uniform. Yeah, it's chow. Yeah.
Chow. Yep. Do you have time limits on how fast you have to eat?
Absolutely do. There's time limits on it, especially some of this you got to roll it back to like basic training. Mm-hmm. Yep, you got time limits to when you eat. Can you talk in the chow hall?
Yes. Yeah, it depends on the officer and it depends on the facility.
Same way.
Really?
Yeah. So some there was absolutely no talking. If you talk, you're done.
Yeah.
Some you can get away with a little quiet chatter as long as you're not in a full dialogue. You could get away with a sentence out and a sentence back, and that should be it. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Yeah, so
yeah, it depends on where you are. I've been in really strict facilities where you can't talk in the hallway, you can't talk in the chow hall. And then other ones like New York, you can chatter. I mean, it's not a big deal.
It's probably that way for basic training. The same way at Fort Benning, where they do infantry school basic training, or something similar to folks Marine Corps basic training out at Parris Island. Those are both infantry, forwardly deployed, units and soldiers. The basic training is probably really identical. It's that way, yeah. Hardcore, can't talk in the hallway, limited talking in the chow. I'm sure for some basic trainings, because the Army has a lot of different MOSs and jobs, it's just like a civilian world when you go to the base, it's self-sustaining. Everybody there works for the military, so you've got your personnel, your payroll people, your shop people, all that stuff is an Army job. I'm sure their basic trainings were probably a little bit more relaxed. It was like going to a more relaxed prison, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have officers that are like, no talking, don't even breathe. Yeah. And then other ones that are like, just don't care. How do you address people in the military?
Either by title or by their last name. So
okay.
if it's, it's private or, if you're addressing a superior, it's sergeant or officer or sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so you go by last name.
Last name.
Or title. Same in prison. So it would be inmate Kent, or the sergeant. Officer would be just your regular correctional officer. Sergeant is above that person, and so on and so forth. So yeah, name or title.
You go to medical.
Yeah.
Go see the nurse, go to see medical. Yeah.
Do they call it infirmary?
Yep, infirmary.
That's so funny. They call it infirmary in prison too.
Infirmary, yeah.
It's basically prison.
It is, yeah. Where do you sleep?
On your rack.
Sleep on your rack, yep.
Or a bunk.
On your bunk, yep.
In a barracks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Bam, 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 bam.
We do call them dorms.
So,
sometimes.
Was I in prison or were you in the military?
I don't know.
Plot twist.
We did have some barracks that were called dorms. That varies by state as well. Yeah. So Arkansas, I called it an open dorm or pod. A lot of facilities call it pods, dorms, barracks, same thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Do they have a lights out time?
Yeah, everything is scheduled. There's lights out and lights on.
Yeah.
Military too.
Yep.
So that kind of leads us into scheduling and routine.
Oh, yeah.
Everything in prison is schedule, routine, redundancy. Every day you know what's going to happen. Shit can pop off, but you know the routine every day. Yeah. Every day is the same.
Same way when you go to like basic training for the military. That's 16 weeks. Every hour is accounted for. Even the free time that may be slotted on there like towards the end, you already have activities planned for the free time. Yeah, so It's the same way. There's a lights on, chow, PT, barracks cleaning time, weapons cleaning time, formation time. Every day is accounted for. Yeah.
Well, we didn't get weapons training.
Yeah.
Formally, anyway.
Could be working on your shank, polishing it up in there.
So we're making prison shanks.
Yeah. Everybody go to your pod, clean your shanks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yep. So scheduling, that's all the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Discipline.
Yep.
Redundancy.
It's the regimen. The regimen is everything because they're wanting to keep people. I think probably a lot of the things we're talking about that are so similar. They're things that are that are coded and broken down to keep people in line, to keep order, to keep people in restraint, to keep control.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Our mannerisms and how we stand.
Yep.
And how we walk, it has to be uniformed.
Yep.
So a lot of facilities, especially maximum security prison, I'm gonna stand up so you can see. Okay. You have to walk like this. County jails do this too. Some prisons will make you walk with your hands in your pockets. Some prisons want you to walk with your hands to your side. They really just want to make sure that it's a passive.
It's a non-assertive. It's a defensive.
Right, yep. Non-defensive.
Yeah.
Walking around, like you can't walk around with imaginary lat syndrome.
Yeah, acting like you own the place. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that for their own protection. So you have to.
Military's the same way. Yep. Yeah, do you have to walk in line everywhere you go? Yes, you do. Military, everywhere you go in basic, you'll be in that line. Trust me. Yeah, and if you stand, with your hands behind your back, they call that parade rest. You know, so you stand like that way when you're talking to your superiors, which is basically anybody that outranks you. So have a lot of fun with that. You know, it's the same thing. It's a non-aggressive stance. So yep. I mean, everything except for in the hands of the pockets. That's a big no-no in the military.
No hands in your pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll catch a big thing, you know, staying off the walls within a certain, distance. You have to walk, a foot to the left, foot behind of any of your superiors. If you're walking down, you can't walk in step with them because you're beneath them, obviously. So,
So they walk first?
Yeah, because they join first and they can run faster and they have more rank. They get to walk in front of you. You can't walk on the grass.
I wonder if Reese has any authority issues.
Probably a little bit. I do. I didn't work well and play well with others when it came to those kind of things, for sure.
A lot of people are praising the military if they can run fast, and Reese can't run fast.
I wasn't fast. I don't look like a fast runner, I know.
He's big, so yeah, I feel like
I struggled with that. But the mannerisms, same thing. Obviously the parade rest, the hands behind your back, that's huge. A lot of the things that we're talking about, the mannerisms, behavior, it's uniform. Everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
There's no exception, and that's the same way with the military. It's done for a specific reason. You know what I mean? Everybody falls under the same code of rules, the same code of conduct, the same mannerisms. Everybody has to comply.
So let's talk about breaking rules then.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So I think we have that on our list.
We did, right?
Okay, so say you broke a rule in the Army, what would happen?
And you're going to be in trouble. They would have a little hearing. It's an Article 15 hearing, which it's not a court based. It's non-judicial, where they'll either define what you did wrong. Find you guilty, probably.
Yep, you're guilty.
You know what I mean? So there's no trial, there's no judge, there's no jury. It's just basically a little informal thing, and you'll have loss of privileges, restriction. You can be confined to your barracks for X amount of days, or to your room, or whatever it might be. Loss of rank. I mean, all pretty much the basics that come with that. And it could be, and it's always for 15, 30, 90, and it's always by block of time, by seriousness of offense. And then some they'll dock your pay. They'll take half your pay. So
everything except the dock of pay, that's prison.
Yeah.
So if you break a rule in prison, you get written up and then you have a disciplinary hearing, and at the hearing they just say like, oh, Kent, did you punch that sex offender in the face? You did? You're guilty.
So there's like no formal charges, like no court.
There can be outside court if you really hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So there can be outside court, which I'm sure in the military is the same.
Yep. You can get a jurisdictional, a civilian charge along with your Article 15 punishment. Yep.
Yeah, same thing.
You can have both. Yeah.
So you can get loss of privileges and loss of class, which would be similar
loss
to rank.
Loss of rank. Yep.
So say I'm a class. How did Arkansas do it? Say I'm a class 1A. That means I have no outstanding warrants. I'm working at Sallyport, which is the back of the prison where the gate is. That's a privileged job because you could like run out of the prison if you wanted to.
And you have good time, right? Yep.
You have good time.
Yep.
But if I got in trouble, I would get bumped all the way down to a class 4, meaning I would go to SEG and then the bad kid barracks. That's what I always called it.
The bad kid
barracks.
Yeah.
I'd go there and I'd have to work my way back up to my class.
Yeah.
So
same thing.
By doing really shitty things like field squad.
And could you work your way back up to class pretty quickly as long as you did what you were supposed to?
It takes months in prison.
Yeah, it'd be the same way if you lost your rank, and they lay it on thick. They have a formation where they stand up there and they cut, your rank and they rip it off.
In front of everyone?
In front of everybody. They won't let everybody know they've put the smack down on you. But you can, you take your punishment, your loss of restrictions and things like that, and then you can get promoted back up fairly quickly as long as you do what you're told, take it like a champ.
Did you ever lose rank?
I did, and I didn't take it like a champ. I was very, very defensive about my situation. I was not, like I said, one of my highlights for my personality was not working and playing well with others, and unfortunately that caused a bit of conflict, in a military unit where you're expected to fall in line.
That's a really good video later that we can do.
But I did this really, really well, so it gave me some leverage.
You're an expert marksman.
Yeah.
So that's what he means by shooting. He's an expert marksman.
I had a few, few key points and traits, a few accolades to my credit. I was really good at some things that you needed to be good at when we forwardly deployed into, close combat quarters. A lot of things that made me very useful and beneficial and helped me bring value to a unit that was going to be deployed. I was pretty good at those things. It was the attitude and lack of being able to run fast that really got in my way. So there was always a little bit of friction there. There was always some texture between me and my superiors, and to their defense, I know, you can't have people like that around. They can't like what you do and then don't like how you act. You know what I mean? It seems a conflicting message. But, yeah.
I kind of want to just say the story here. So if you go to school, you can graduate as a lieutenant. And you did not go to school.
No.
So you joined...
As an enlisted.
Yeah. So you had officers that would come in that didn't really understand what you're doing. And I want you to tell us the story about the lieutenant that was kicking shit on the side of the road in Iraq.
Well, a lot of that, you have to think about it. As an enlisted soldier, it might take you, let's assume, to ascend to the level of equivalency of a non-commissioned officer and a commissioned officer would be an entry-level ROTC guy, West Point guy, second lieutenant. He comes directly in after school, after his 4 years of college and things like that. As an enlisted person, to ascend to a non-commissioned rank that is the equivalent of that, it might take you 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Wow.
And you've been deployed, you've had training, a lot of real-world experience, and this guy comes in, and that's the equivalent of the rank of the guy that spent 8 years in practice.
I could see some issues
So
there.
you see some issues. We were deployed, been in Iraq for, 6, 7 months, and we got a rotation out. Our lieutenant that actually had deployed with us and jumped in was moving on, and we were getting a replacement. It was a rotation time anyway, and we got a brand new stud. He was a West Point graduate. West Point is the cream of the crop. They're supposed to be the top military accolade guys, and anyway, this big hero decides, they're going to deploy him in, and he's coming in, and he's hard charged, and he's going to really make make some waves. And he comes in one night, and he wants to take a patrol out or whatever from the safe house. And we're, in a northern city of Iraq, still a lot of, insurgency, not a lot of stability in the region. We've only been there 6 months, and things are starting to get really kind of sticky, and they were, sticky for a different reason for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of explosives, randoms attacks, at this point in time, we have a curfew out on the town, the whole city. After dark, you can't be out. This is an imposed curfew that maybe 1,000 or 1,200 people are holding on a city that's got 1 million civilians in it. So, it's definitely, it's kind of, we're at a disposition here. He wants to go out, decides to take my team and some guys that work with me. He wants to go out on patrol, you know what I mean? Because whatever, he's bored and he wants to see the town, I guess. We're walking along out on the, and the streets are, I don't know how to kind of frame the way this looks, but, there's trash, there's a lot of things on the side of the street, and we're walking in the middle of the night, really exposed,
Doesn't look like here.
Yeah, exactly. And you're out on the street exposed like that. You need to be getting somewhere either expeditiously, quick. You need to have a purpose. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You need to be doing exactly what you're doing, getting where you're going.
Yeah.
And he's dunking around, whistling Dixie. He decides to start kicking and moving things around on the side of the street as he's looking for whatever if he's looking for a pot of gold. I don't know what this hero's looking for. And finally I step up and I say, I say his name. I said, sir, I can't think of his name, whatever. I say, you ought not to be kicking that kind of stuff out here. And he looks at me, I said, that's how people come back with no legs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, if you want to continue on with what we're doing, we've been out 30 minutes. I said, you can do it without us because we're going back. He's like, well, that's not your call to make. Kind of give me I'm in charge here. I said, whatever you want. I said, we'll see you back at the house or whatever you want to do. You can keep on walking if you want, but we're rolling. And that didn't really work out so well for me later, but it was just kind of a really foolish thing that he was doing, and putting people's lives in danger and, unnecessarily, because he just didn't have any real world application for what he's doing. And the military has a lot of struggles with that, probably more so during those years of forward deployment as they're rotating new folks in. But that was just a very key case that I think my mentality and my attitude probably didn't bode well, but at the same time, I didn't feel like getting my ass blown up because this guy kicked over an improvised explosive device.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to go out patrolling at 10 at night.
You know, and you wanted to protect your guys.
Yeah.
Too, so
it's like, we're going back, dude. If you don't, I mean, I don't know about you, but we like our legs. We'd like to keep them, you know what I mean?
I still love you if you had no legs.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so, you say stud in the military?
Stud?
You just said stud when you were telling that story.
Yeah, yeah.
Stud?
Yeah.
We say stud in prison, but like stud broads, like
Stud brothers.
pretty boys that are not boys.
They're not boys.
They're not boys. But you know, lesbians, and we call them studs. They're like, if they look like a boy,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, studs.
Alright.
What does Whistling Dixie mean?
I don't know.
Reese
It's a
is
southern term, yeah.
I want to just say briefly, like, we were talking about breaking the rules. Loss of privileges happens in prison. I don't know if I said that. I know you talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Loss of privileges would be you can't call, you can't use the phone, can't go to commissary. Do you have commissary?
Okay, there's commissary, but they can restrict you to your barracks or to the PX or just straight to the chow hall, which basically would mean you would have no access to any of the privileged items or
Chips.
shoppings. Yeah, the things.
Snacks.
Yeah, you just get what the military can provide you. Yeah,
So you do have commissary.
kinda.
Ah!
Yeah.
PX is like store.
Yeah, it's like store. Yeah, the PX. Yeah.
It's prison. That's prison. Cool. Yeah, that would happen in prison too. You'd only get the trays because you can't go to commissary. You're on the list, the
Yeah,
sad list.
you'd be restricted like to the chow hall only. You couldn't go to the PX.
Yeah.
Like
There's ways around
So they're
that.
just forcing you to eat the military served food instead of like going to the Burger King or something on post or the Popeyes. Yeah.
Guess who's bringing Popeyes? Jessica. Come on. Is that all of them?
That might be all of them. I mean, it's just kind of a short and sweet.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things that there's some similarities to. You know, I think that we've always thought this very comical as we've talked over the years because
Yeah.
there are so many things that, you know, as we'll cover something like that happens in prison. It's like, yep, that happens in the military too.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're leaving out so many things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And let us know if you want to hear more Army stories from Reese. He's got amazing stories. It might be tough to get him out of Reese.
Maybe.
He's not a big sharer.
I'm not a big sharer about some of those times for sure.
I'll see what I can do if you guys want those videos. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to leave us a comment down below if you want to see more stories, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. I know you're gonna laugh at me. Ugh. I don't want to out-angle you.
Yeah, get out angle.
Yeah, I don't want to look bigger than you.
Yeah.
If I'm up here, I look enormous to Reese.
That giant. I didn't miss head day.
Don't skip head day, guys.
Don't skip
it's
head day.
important.